Hello, glad you can join us. Here's what we have for you this Tuesday. Donald Trump revels in his triumph.
We sort of got him a little by surprise, but it was brilliant tactically.
As unease grips Venezuela and neighboring Colombia.
Canadian oil will be competitive because it is low risk.
Why it's all fueling concern over Canada's energy sector.
He put all 30 logos of MLB teams in front of his daughter.
Plus, the Jays score a star slugger with a little help, as we heard, from home.
CTV National News with Sandy Ronaldo.
A country on edge. Venezuela tenses gunfire and anti-aircraft booms are heard in Caracas, the capital. And today, a massive pro-Maduro march 3 days after the controversial leader was deposed. Nearby Colombia is also now on guard, deploying troops to the border, alarmed after Donald Trump signals it could be next. And today, the U.S. president gave a key speech to House Republicans as the U.S. asserts what it calls total control of Venezuela. CTV's Washington Bureau Chief Joy Malbon takes us through the day's developments and what comes next. Hi, Joy.
Hi, Sandy. Well, the new Venezuelan government is cracking down, ordering anyone supporting that U.S. attack to be arrested as Donald Trump took a bow.
The U.S. president taking a victory lap at the renamed Trump Kennedy Center.
It was brilliant tactically.
Donald Trump reveling in the American military might that captured former Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, now in a U.S. prison charged with narco-terrorism.
We had a lot of boots on the ground, but it was amazing. And think of it, nobody was killed, and on the other side, a lot of people were killed. Unfortunately, I say that, soldiers. Cubans, mostly Cubans.
Tensions are high in Caracas after gunfire erupted overnight. Armed military police now patrolling the streets. The U.S. president insists he's in charge and will run Venezuela and help rebuild its oil infrastructure. Maria Machado, the democratically elected opposition leader who's in hiding, vowed to return, praised Trump's actions.
What he has done, as I said, is historic. It's a huge step towards a democratic transition.
And yet the Trump administration isn't focused on that, supporting Maduro's hand-picked vice president as leader, saying the U.S. can work with her.
The initial hopes that the departure of Maduro might represent a change in this hated regime have been dashed, seemingly endorsed by the United States, a woman who's got significant amounts of blood on her hands.
Trump's national security strategy suggests America will exert more control. The State Department posting this with the words, "This is our hemisphere." The president warns Colombia could be next, that country beefing up troops on the Venezuelan border. And Greenland on edge after Trump's closest advisor said this.
For the United States to secure the Arctic region, to protect and defend NATO and NATO interests, obviously Greenland should be part of the United States.
And this just in, Sandy, an official statement from Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt saying the administration is looking at a range of options in order to acquire Greenland, adding that the military is always an option, as you can imagine. This is not going over well with America's European allies. Sandy?
No, it isn't, Joy. Thank you. Because the Prime Minister, Mark Carney, in Paris today for an international summit, has pledged his support for Greenland, which, as you know, is a territory of Denmark. And he made the comments ahead of a meeting with the Danish Prime Minister.
The future of Greenland and Denmark are decided solely by the people of Denmark. In Greenland, we know that.
Mr. Carney added that Canada's Foreign Affairs Minister and the Governor-General will also visit Greenland next month. And he signaled that he's not worried about U.S. plans for Venezuelan oil or the possibility that oil will displace Canada's offering on the U.S. market. The PM saying confidently that our energy sector will be competitive. CTV's Rachel Ayello drills down on calls for Canada to ramp up exports in response to this change in the energy environment. Rachel.
Sandy, while it'll take time for a revived Venezuelan oil sector to compete with Canada, pipeline proponents in this country say it's time to expedite new energy projects that'll allow Canadian crude to flow to new customers. The Prime Minister is facing new pressure to ensure Canadian oil remains competitive in light of U.S. President Donald Trump pledging to rebuild Venezuela's energy sector.
We're going to take back the oil that, frankly, we should have taken back a long time ago.
Asked today what impacts this could have on exports, Mark Carney said while a functioning Venezuela could eventually produce more oil, his government is working to expand Canadian capacity and access to new overseas markets.
We welcome the prospect of greater prosperity in Venezuela, but we also see the competitiveness of Canadian oil, and we're investing, or we're putting in place measures so that that's going to happen.
Carney's remarks came after Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre called for him to rapidly approve a new West Coast pipeline. In a letter to the PM, Poilievre said every barrel the United States sources from Venezuela could mean one less barrel these refineries would buy from Canada. Though experts say it will take several years and major investments before Venezuela could outpace the 4.5 billion barrels of crude that Canada produces per day.
It'll take billions and billions of dollars to correct the mismanagement of the Venezuelan crude oil system.
Alberta Premier Danielle Smith says the events in Venezuela emphasize the need to reach new buyers with new pipelines, while BC Premier David Eby said today he disagrees. Sandy?
Okay. CTV's Rachel Aiello in Ottawa. Of course, this is a good time to check in with CTV Chief Financial Correspondent Amanda Lang. And Amanda, the Prime Minister has said that Canada's energy sector will be just fine. Others don't necessarily agree. What's your takeaway?
I mean, I think it's clear that this is a longer-term play and that the Venezuela aspect won't actually affect our oil sector immediately. What will affect it, Sandy, and is affecting it, is the fact that in the world, we are producing more oil than we are consuming right now. And there are new forecasts just this week that that's going to continue right through 2028. And we're seeing numbers on the per barrel price, on the price of oil, that is well below very profitable levels for a lot of producers. So yes, it's true that Canada is finding new markets, and there will be a renewed push to get our oil to market. Every new barrel we ship into the global market, Sandy, actually adds to the problem of additional supply. Venezuela, if it comes online, when it comes online, will make that even worse, but it's already an issue. A new pipeline from Canada would actually reduce the amount of money we make per barrel.
All right, interesting. As always, thanks, Amanda. Appreciate it. Now, as we said earlier, the Prime Minister is in Paris to discuss Ukraine's security priorities. Allies in the Coalition of the Willing signed a statement today pledging their support. CTV senior political correspondent Michael Lecouture is traveling with the Prime Minister.
Ahead of the meeting hosted by French President Emmanuel Macron, Prime Minister Mark Carney said the goal was to finalize security guarantees for Ukraine. World leaders were joined by representatives from the U.S., hoping to build on the momentum towards peace.
Our main objective is to finalize the security guarantees amongst ourselves which create the possibility of a just and lasting peace for Ukraine.
The meeting brought together more than 30 world leaders who make up the Coalition of the Willing. They agreed to participate in a U.S.-led ceasefire monitoring and verification mechanism, long-term support for Ukraine's armed forces, plus a multinational force to backstop Ukraine's military. There was also agreement on finalizing binding commitments to support Ukraine in the event that Russia breaks the ceasefire. And the countries agreed to deepen long-term defense cooperation with Ukraine.
Following a ceasefire, the UK and France will establish military hubs across Ukraine and build protected facilities for weapons and military equipment to support Ukraine's defensive needs.
Now, Canada's contribution could include troops on the ground as part of that multilateral backstop, something the government is ramping up for.
The largest military buildup in generations, coming over the course of the next 5 years, an additional $80 billion of investment, in part because of issues like this.
U.S. buy-in is key to any plan succeeding, and President Trump's envoy is supportive of this one.
We think we're largely finished with security protocols, which are important so that the people of Ukraine know that when this ends, it ends forever.
Regardless of the result of today's meeting, nothing can be put into place until there is a ceasefire. Prime Minister Carney reiterated the final elements of that need to be negotiated between the U.S., Ukraine, and Russia. Mike Lecouteur, CTV News, Paris.
My judgment was that taking that role would be consistent with resigning as an MP, and I welcomed her doing that. And look, we'll have a by-election. There'll be a few by-elections coming up, and we'll run great candidates, and the people in those ridings will decide who they want to send to Parliament.
All right, Mark Carney this morning also commenting on the decision by Freeland, his former Ukraine advisor and current Liberal MP, to accept President Volodymyr Zelensky's offer of an advisory role. Now, Freeland has said she will step down as MP for Toronto's University Rosedale riding in the coming weeks. Let's bring in CTV Chief Political Correspondent Vassy Kapelas. Okay, Vassy, lots of people are wondering why Freeland hasn't resigned yet. Is there politics at play here?
Yeah, it's a very valid question, and I think part of the reason that you see the Prime Minister being asked the question as well, right? There's a lot of scrutiny over the way this unfolded, and we spoke about this yesterday, Sandy, right? The announcement coming early in the morning, and many hours later, Freeland putting a post out saying that she would in fact resign, but not immediately as an MP, just in the coming weeks. The idea, of course, from both the opposition, New Democrats and Conservatives, being how can you serve the interests of two governments, including one being our own, at the same time? Not to take away from, Ms. Freeland's considerable expertise in this area, in this conflict, but I think that it's not sitting well, certainly with those opposition parties that I mentioned, that she continues to hold that seat while at the same time advising in a formal capacity, though unpaid, the Ukrainian government. You heard Mark Carney mention the by-elections. He insists that he did not ask her to stay on in order to maintain that sort of razor-thin, close to a majority parliament. But those by-elections could be not just Freeland, they could be other people who are appointed to other positions. So we'll keep our eye on that, Sandy.
And I know you will. Okay, as always, Vassy, thanks. A sad story to share with you now. The death of a 13-year-old boy after he was mauled by 3 dogs. Fatal dog attacks in Canada are rare, 1 to 2 a year, but when it happens, of course, it's heartbreaking for the family and the community. CTV's Paul Hollingsworth is in Shelburne County, Nova Scotia, where the dreadful event took place. Paul.
Sandy, this quiet rural community is in shock, reeling from this tragedy. The 13-year-old boy who was attacked by 3 large dogs died yesterday. The attack happened on this road on Saturday when the boy was riding his bike. Police, fire, and emergency health services crews responded to this area just after 5 p.m. late Saturday afternoon. The boy was then airlifted to hospital in Halifax. The 3 dogs were all euthanized by a veterinarian. The teen was in the 8th grade at Shelburne Regional High School. In a statement, the Tri-County Regional Center for Education said supports are in place at Shelburne Regional High and neighboring schools today and in the days ahead, including psychologists and counselors. In a separate statement, the local municipality added, "We extend our most sincere condolences to his family, friends, classmates, and all who are grieving this unimaginable loss." The RCMP said they will not comment further until this investigation is completed. Sandy.
CTV's Paul Hollingsworth. Coming up after the break, a refugees' relief.
We are waiting for this moment for a long time.
A former Venezuelan judge targeted by the Maduro regime reflects on his capture. Protests around the world have included Venezuelan expats who are nervously watching the volatile situation from the diaspora. One of them is a former judge who was forced to flee to Canada after being threatened and stalked by the Maduro regime. CTV's Heather Wright spoke with the jurist and her family about their situation. Heather.
Well, Sandy, for Venezuelans living here in Canada, it has been an emotional few days watching events unfold in their home country, which has brought concern, but also hope for the future.
The fall of Nicolas Maduro over the weekend is something Relenis Tovar is still trying to wrap her head around.
Oh my God, I can't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I said, oh my God, finally? It's a dream? It's real?
Before fleeing to Canada with her daughter and husband in 2017, Tovar was a judge in Venezuela. She says she was forced to sign an arrest warrant for Maduro's political opponent, threatened with prison if she didn't.
It was scary. I just was thinking of my daughter.
But the threats didn't end there. She says she was followed, her phone was tapped, and suspicious men showed up at her daughter's school. That's when she fled to Canada and claimed refugee status in Toronto. While the U.S. military actions in Venezuela have been criticized by both allies and adversaries, Tovar celebrates the removal of a dictator she describes as evil.
He's a narco. He trafficked drugs. He killed people.
And while Tovar and her daughter Maria feel a sense of relief with Maduro gone, they worry there won't be real change with most of his regime still in power.
He just got one guy out of the whole 6, which we appreciate a lot, but it's not over until he gets all of those people out.
The rest of the regime is there. It's still there. So it's not that real freedom. Maybe we are start to taste the freedom, but it's not the real freedom yet.
And so for many Venezuelans living abroad, it's now a waiting game for political stability, security, and the rebuilding of infrastructure, which could take years. Sandy.
All right, Heather, thank you. Still ahead, when a disaster crystallizes, how a tenant unwittingly turned a home into an ice castle. Authorities in Switzerland have revealed that the bar at the ski resort that was the scene of last week's tragic fire had not been inspected for safety since 2019. 40 people were killed and more than 100 were injured at a New Year's Eve event. The mayor of the resort town has accepted responsibility. He has also added that sparklers, which are believed to have caused the deadly fire, will now be banned at local establishments, and inspections will be held at all area venues. A deadly blast of icy winter weather is disrupting road, rail, and air travel across parts of northern Europe. More than 400 flights were canceled out of Amsterdam as staff worked to clear runways and de-ice planes. In France, at least 5 people died in traffic accidents due to icy roads. Another snowstorm is forecast to pound France, Germany, and Britain starting on Thursday. Well, a home in Quebec has been renamed the Ice Castle after a tenant turned off the heat, left, and the result, well, you're about to see for yourself, is why it's important to take care during cold winter days. CTV's Quebec Bureau Chief Geneviève Beauchemin has the striking images and the lessons learned. Geneviève.
Yes, Andy, winter woes led to what one apartment owner called a beautiful mess. Much of this 2-story apartment is now locked in ice, frozen in time. Some of the scattered frozen piles look like chiseled ice sculptures, but these were shaped by misfortune. This is an extreme case, says owner Jacques No. The tenant left on vacation and probably wanted to save money on electricity. We know everything is more expensive these days, and he turned off the heat. Now, the owner isn't quite sure when this happened, but the pipes froze, the toilet cracked, and liters of water flowed out and froze in this cold winter. Ice-encased appliances, and it's about 30 centimeters thick on the kitchen floor. This ice castle, as neighbors call it, isn't quite as palatial as Edmonton's, built for fun with its caverns and archways. And it's not exactly as magical as Elsa's castle in Disney's Frozen.
Whoa! Now that's ice. I might cry.
The owner here too might have cried, but is busy tending heaters to melt the ice.
Malheureusement.
That was an icicle falling off the ceiling. Once the ice is melted, the unit will have to be stripped and rebuilt to be a cozy, warm home once again. The tenant hadn't paid his rent in over 6 months and has now been evicted. Now, the homeowner says this is a good reminder to us all not to turn the temperature all the way down to keep our homes safe and warm.
Sure is.
Sandy.
Geneviève, thank you. An owl tangled up in a fishing line in Nanaimo, BC is now free thanks to a few kind-hearted local fishermen.
He's stuck. He's got fishing line around him.
The owl was discovered by chance, perched on a downed tree. The fishers couldn't reach conservation officers, so they decided to free it themselves. The bird, we are told, stayed calm and almost cooperative as they cut the line.
He didn't bite, he didn't resist. There was like absolutely no fear in the slightest.
And the owl remained on the branch. Hopefully, it flew away after the sun went down. The latest tech show in Las Vegas, the CES, offers an annual glimpse into the future, including this one.
It's a worldwide phenomenon that we're dealing with, and we hope to bring puppies out to people very, very soon.
Okay, residents at a senior living facility in Vegas got to meet Jenny, a high-tech emotional support robot puppy. More human-like robots also took center stage.
This lets Atlas move even more efficiently than humans, particularly in manufacturing environments where every second counts.
Atlas is Hyundai's new and improved robot. The company expects this type of humanoid tech to be the largest segment of the physical AI market and hopes it can start assembling products by 2030. Okay, the Toronto Blue Jays, fresh off their World Series victory, are making headlines in the offseason. Today, introducing the franchise's newest acquisition, a big swinging import from Japan. Now, remember this name, Kazuma Okamoto. CTV's Raheem Ladani now on the slugger and the team's hopes for the future. Hi, Raheem.
Sandy, one thing is clear this offseason from the Toronto Blue Jays. They are reloading for another run at the World Series, and they're willing to spend the money to help them get there. This afternoon, the Jays officially introduced their new $60 million man, star player Kazuma Okamoto. Okamoto has spent his entire career in the Japanese league, but is a proven power hitter and stellar defender who can play multiple positions. Okamoto has signed a 4-year deal with the Blue Jays, and he told us that the Jays' World Series appearance last season showcased the city and fan base in a way he had never seen before. And as we heard today, he's already efforting to endear himself to the fan base.
Hello everyone, my name is Kazuma Okamoto. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I am very happy to join Blue Jays. I will work hard every day and do my best for the team. Thank you for your support. Nice to meet you. Go Blue Jays.
Now, there are still some question marks in this Jays roster. Primarily, are the Jays still pursuing free agent Bo Bichette? General Manager Ross Atkins wouldn't answer that directly, but did say that making more additions at this point would start taking away playing time from other players. Sandy.
Okay, Raheem, thank you so much. And thank you for sharing your time with us. I'm Sandy Ronaldo. Bye for now. See you tomorrow, we hope. Have a nice evening.